Hello, my name is Eden and I'm one of the owners of Wellicy.com. Welcome to episode 4 of Wellicy CBD Knowledge. On the 4th installment of CBD Knowledge, we're going to be discussing the different cannabinoids and the benefits of each. In addition, I will also be discussing which cannabinoids are the most effective to help treat symptoms associated with mood, eating/gastrointestinal disorders, neurological disorders, pain, sleep disorders, and other medical conditions. Before we begin, I want to first clarify that I myself am not a medical professional. And although there have been many benefits discovered about the cannabinoids that I'll be discussing with you today, further research is required in order to truly assess the effectiveness of these cannabinoids and their ability to treat or even cure varying diseases, ailments, and medical conditions. Section 1. What are cannabinoids? If you are a user of hemp or marijuana, cannabinoids is a word that needs to be in your vocabulary. Cannabinoids are the chemical compounds secreted by cannabis flowers, and the most well-known cannabinoids are THC and CBD, but more on that later. Cannabinoids can provide relief from a wide array of symptoms, including anxiety, pain, nausea, and inflammation. THC, CBD, and other cannabinoids work their medicinal magic by imitating compounds your body naturally produces, which are known as endocannabinoids. Endocannabinoids work with your internal system called the endocannabinoid system, which activates to maintain internal stability and health, which is better known as homeostasis. Simply put, endocannabinoids mediate communication between cells throughout your body. And when there's a deficiency or problem with your endocannabinoid system, unpleasant symptoms and other health complications may occur. You see, when cannabis is consumed, cannabinoids bind to receptors throughout your body. There are receptors in your brain known as CB1 receptors and in your body known as CB2 receptors. Different cannabinoids have different effects depending on which receptor they bind to. Cannabis has at least 85 types of cannabinoids, most of which have a known medicinal value. CBD and CBN were the first cannabinoids researchers identified when they discovered cannabinoids in the early 1940s. It would take until 1964 for researchers to correctly determine the structure of THC. Sure, you may love CBD for its healing power, but knowing other cannabinoids that can also be used to treat your symptoms is valuable information. That leads us to section 2, the different cannabinoids and the benefits of each. Now that you are educated on what cannabinoids actually are, let's dive headfirst into the different cannabinoids. We will first start off with the most well-known and studied cannabinoids, which are THC and CBD. Then we will look into other lesser-known yet extremely beneficial cannabinoids. The first cannabinoid is THC, or better known as tetrahydrocannabinol. This may be the most well-known and talked about cannabinoid due to it being one of the few with psychoactive effects. Psychoactivity indicates that cannabinoid can produce a euphoric sensation commonly called a high. THC is the only psychoactive cannabinoid that exists in a high enough concentration in dried marijuana flower to make smoking or ingesting the plant worth it in any sense, making THC the most sought-after cannabinoid for recreational cannabis users. THC is psychoactive because it binds to your CB1 receptors in your brain. This interaction causes an alteration in the release of chemicals in your brain. Due to these alterations, which includes the increase of dopamine release, which causes the numerous psychological effects cannabis users enjoy. Alterations in memory, movement, mood, perception, and cognition all result from THC binding to the CB1 receptors in your brain. Plus, these psychological effects open the door to many therapeutic uses for THC. THC actually has a boiling point of 315 degrees Fahrenheit. So, what are the medical benefits of THC? Well, I'm glad you asked. THC can help reduce spasticity, is an anti-nausea and vomiting, can increase appetite, pain reduction, reduces intraocular pain, which allows THC to be used for the treatment of glaucoma. It's an anti-inflammatory, provides neuroprotective properties, and it's a phenomenal sleep aid. The next cannabinoid we're going to be discussing today is CBD or cannabidiol. When it comes to the medicinal application of cannabis, No cannabinoid has more significance than CBD. CBD was one of the first cannabinoids to be discovered and remains to be one of the most intensely studied cannabinoids. CBD provides zero psychoactive effects, and actually CBD can help to counteract the psychoactive effects associated with THC. Many patients dislike THC due to the high associated with it. CBD, on the other hand, offers the medical and therapeutic benefits of cannabis without the high. CBD is primarily extracted from the hemp plant, but growers have also begun cultivating CBD-dominant strains such as Charlotte's Web and Harley Quinn. So you may be asking, what are the medical benefits of CBD? Well, I'm glad you asked. CBD has been shown to be an anticonvulsant, anti-nausea and vomiting, anti-inflammatory, antipsychotic, antioxidant, antidepressant, reduces anxiety, analgesic or pain relief, and it's been shown to be an anti-tumor, in addition to a neuroprotective, improved sleep quality and duration. So that about wraps it up for the benefits of CBD. Let's move on to the next cannabinoid. The next cannabinoid that we're going to be discussing today is CBG or cannabigerol. Mature cannabis plants contain only about 1% or less of CBG. This is not due to the plant not producing enough CBG, but instead, maturing plants produce a lot of CBG. But eventually, however, the CBG will be converted into other cannabinoids. This is why CBG has received the nickname mother cannabinoid or stem cell cannabinoid. CBG actually converts into many cannabinoid derivatives, but primarily it turns into either CBG or THC. CBG is not psychoactive itself. According to research, CBG shows a number of promising medical uses, such as being used to treat cancer, glaucoma, pain, anxiety, inflammation, and a variety of bowel and bladder disorders. So let's now dig into CBG's medicinal benefits further. So CBG can help with bone growth and healing, pain relief, anti-inflammatory and antioxidant, reduces intraocular pressure, antibacterial, and antifungal. Plus, it's an antidepressant, anti-anxiety, it provides neuroprotective properties, overreactive bladder treatment, appetite stimulant, psoriasis treatment. That's a long list of benefits. But like I said before, guys, I am not a medical professional, and these are just according to very preliminary research, and further research is really required to truly assess the benefits of CBG. That now leads us on to the next cannabinoid, CBN, or cannabinol. CBN is unique to all the cannabinoids mentioned today because it's the only cannabinoid that doesn't derive from cannabigerol, or CBG. Instead, CBN forms from the natural degradation of THC. Oxidation, light, and exposure to air cause THC to degrade. Dried cannabis flowers constantly lose THC as it breaks down to CBN. CBN is effectively non-psychoactive. Its presence represents a loss in overall potency. Despite it being associated with a less potent product, CBN has some medicinal properties. CBN is a sedative, works as an antibiotic, and shows promising results as an analgesic. So let's look into the benefits associated with CBN. Well, CBN has been shown to be effective for being a sedative / sleep aid, analgesic or pain relief, anti-inflammatory, anticonvulsant, antibacterial, specifically effective against MRSA, promotes bone growth, decreases intraocular pressure for treating glaucoma. It's an appetite stimulant, controls the growth of cutaneous cells, treatment of burns, psoriasis, etc. As you guys can see, CBN has a whole host of medicinal benefits. So let's move on to the next cannabinoid, CBC, or cannabichromene. CBC, like CBD, is non-psychoactive. However, unlike CBD, CBC has no impact on the psychoactive effects of THC. It actually appears that THC influences CBC to enhance its anti-inflammatory activity. This interaction between two cannabinoids, THC and CBC, is a perfect example of what's known as the entourage effect. This just means the efficacy of a given cannabinoid depends on interaction with other cannabinoids. CBC is unique because it binds to receptors beyond those of the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. Researchers believe these interactions may be behind the medicinal properties of CBC. CBC is currently being used as an anti-inflammatory, antifungal, and antibiotic, but that's only scratching the surface of the medical benefits. So, what are the medical benefits associated with CBC? Well, it's an anti-acne, antibiotic, antibacterial/antifungal, antidepressant, antidiarrheal, anti-inflammatory, increases bone growth, neurogenesis, and it's great for pain relief. That's an incredible list of benefits associated with CBC. So if you're experiencing any of those, CBC may be the cannabinoid you've been searching for. Let's move on to the next cannabinoid in today's discussion. The next cannabinoid on the list of today's discussion is THCV, or tetrahydrocannabivarin. The varins are a class of phytocannabinoids that are isometric homologs of the root compound, which in this case would be THC. Due to its name, you may assume THCV shares psychoactive powers with its potent counterpart THC. But in fact, it's yes and no, which is the main debate surrounding the properties of THCV. Some studies have uncovered that this cannabinoid actually acts as a THC antagonist at the CB1 receptors. In layman's terms, this simply means THCV would attenuate and reduce the psychoactive effects of THC. However, there have also been studies that have found that THCV can act as a potent psychoactive cannabinoid. According to these studies, THCV is stronger than THC, which produces short-lived but intense euphoric and cerebral highs. On the other hand, other researchers argue that THCV behaves like a cross between CBD and THC, meaning that THCV, like CBD, can reduce a THC high. But at higher dosage, THCV turns into a psychoactive stimulant. So, what are the benefits of THCV? Well, I'm glad you asked, because THCV is a great appetite suppressant, anticonvulsant, anti-inflammatory, great for pain relief, treatment in Parkinson's disease, stimulate bone formation, can mitigate panic attacks and PTSD, and it's been shown to possibly an effective treatment for Alzheimer's disease. So whether you're experiencing one or many of the above conditions that I just mentioned, THCV should be a cannabinoid that you consider using and incorporating to your overall cannabinoid treatment plan. So let's now move on to Delta-8 tetrahydrocannabinol. Delta-8 THC is the new kid on the block in the recreational scene. Delta-8 THC is a different type of psychoactive cannabinoid that has its own set of therapeutic benefits when compared to those of Delta-9 THC. However, Delta-8 THC is an isomer of the more well-known Delta-9 THC, or THC. One important thing to note, although Delta-8 THC is psychoactive, it is not as strong as in regards to psychoactivity as Delta-9 THC. But there are certainly added therapeutic benefits due to Delta-8 THC being weaker in regards to psychoactivity. This may be a therapeutic benefit in itself for those of you who dislike such strong effects. So, what are the benefits associated with Delta-8 THC? According to the National Cancer Institute, Delta-8 THC possesses therapeutic benefits such as antiemetic, which is the suppression of nausea and vomiting response, reduces stress, related anxiety response, appetite stimulant, so it helps to increase your desire to eat. It's an analgesic, which are pain relieving, anti-aesthetic, and sedative properties. In addition, it's also a neuroprotective, so it helps to reduce the buildup of unwanted proteins in your brain, reducing brain inflammation while protecting from oxidative stress on your brain, which is phenomenal, guys. So whether you're experiencing inflammation, anxiety, stress, or you're struggling to eat, Delta-8 THC should definitely be on your list of cannabinoids to explore. Let's now move on to the next cannabinoid in today's episode. So the next cannabinoid on today's list is CBDV, or cannabidivarin. Just like THCV, is a homolog of THC. Cannabidivarin, CBDV, is a homolog of CBD. CBDV can heighten the extremely powerful anticonvulsant effects of CBD. CBDV is 100% non-psychoactive. Due to its incredibly effective anticonvulsant effects, major pharmaceutical companies like GW Pharmaceuticals are researching CBDV as a treatment for child and adult epilepsy. GW Pharmaceuticals even received a patent in 2015 which covers the use of CBDV for treating epilepsy. This just goes to show the effectiveness of CBDV in helping to reduce the severity of seizures in people with epilepsy. So, what are some other benefits of CBDV? Well, CBDV has been shown to reduce the frequency and severity of seizures. It can reduce or even eliminate nausea associated with several conditions. It can also combat inflammation. It's effective for the treatment of pain and mood disorders. CBDV can also provide relief from symptoms that are associated with Crohn's disease, HIV/AIDS, multiple sclerosis. Wow, those are some incredible medical benefits. If you guys are experiencing any of those above symptoms or conditions, I highly recommend that you check out CBDV. Let's now move on to the next cannabinoid. So we're now going to discuss two cannabinoids. It's going to be THCa, which is tetrahydrocannabinolic acid, or CBDa, which is cannabidiolic acid. You may notice the A suffix attached to THC or CBD on certain product labels. Well, the A suffix simply denotes the naturally occurring acidic form of these two phytocannabinoids. But in order for your body to metabolize cannabinoids, they must be in a form that can enter your bloodstream and bind to cell receptors. You know, those CB1 and CB2 receptors. THCa and CBDa contain a carboxyl group. By exposing these acidic forms of cannabinoids to heat, this causes them to lose the carboxyl group, converting them into a form in which your body can use, which is THC or CBD. This is the process that is often referred to as decarboxylation or decarbing. You may have heard/seen this term thrown around frequently, especially when you're making CBD edibles, as raw cannabis must first be activated or decarbed to make the cannabinoids chemically active in your body. An important note, many of the other cannabinoids also have acidic versions such as CBNA or CBGA, which will also convert to the pharmacologically relevant forms when exposed to heat. For example, THCa converts into THC with a temperature of 220 degrees Fahrenheit, and CBDa converts into CBD at 248 degrees Fahrenheit. There have been studies done recently around the benefits of these acidic forms of cannabinoids, which have pointed to the need for further research, just like research surrounding all these cannabinoids we're discussing today. However, there have been some interesting discoveries, so that leads us into what are the possible benefits of THCa. Well, preliminary research has shown that THCa provides anti-inflammatory properties for arthritis and lupus. It has neuroprotective properties for the treatment of neurodegenerative diseases. It's an antiemetic, so those benefits help to combat nausea and appetite loss. It's an anti-proliferative, so these benefits have been recorded in studies in and around prostate cancer, can help combat insomnia, muscle spasms, and pain. Guys, if you guys are experiencing any of those above symptoms or conditions, I highly recommend that you check out THCa, as that would be a phenomenal cannabinoid for you to experiment with. That now leads us to, what are the benefits of CBDa? Well, research has shown that it's an anti-proliferative. It prevents cancer cell migration, noted specifically in cases of aggressive breast cancer. And this is directly from the NCBI. It's an antiemetic, so it reduces nausea and vomiting. So it shows a positive effect on seizures for the treatment of epilepsy, also when used in combination with CBD. And this is the source directly from GW Pharmaceuticals' patent. It has anti-anxiety effects, NCBI said that. Potential antidepressive effects through 5-HT1A receptor activation. This is from the NCBI. However, more research is required to really define and assess the true benefits of both THCa and CBDa. We've already mentioned some of the benefits of these different cannabinoids, but let's now take a deeper look into which cannabinoids that may help treat your specific symptoms. So, whether you're treating symptoms associated with mood, eating/gastrointestinal disorders, neurological disorders, pain and sleep disorders, and other medical conditions. So, Section 3, the best cannabinoids for sleep and pain-related disorders. In this section, I will be sharing with you the best cannabinoids to use when trying to treat sleep and pain-related disorders. If you're struggling with either sleep or pain disorders, this is a must-watch section. So, if you're experiencing inflammation/arthritis, the best cannabinoids to use for inflammation and arthritis are CBC, CBD, CBDa, CBG, CBN, THC, and THCa. Pain. If you're struggling to combat frequent or even chronic pain, I'd recommend using either CBC, CBD, CBN, THC, or THCV. Insomnia. Are you facing an uphill battle with insomnia that is impacting your overall quality of life? Well, you're not alone. Whether that be personally or professionally, cannabinoids such as CBD, CBC, CBN, THC have all been shown to be the most effective for treating insomnia. If you're dealing with fibromyalgia, well, CBD, CBN, and THC are the cannabinoids that may be the most effective for help treating your symptoms associated with fibromyalgia. Well, what if you're experiencing spinal injury? Are your symptoms associated with your spinal injury impeding your ability to live your life to the fullest? Well, CBD and THC cannabinoids may be the solution for you to help combat your pain. If you're struggling with phantom limb, this is the sensation that an amputated or missing limb is still attached. So if you're experiencing phantom sensations, cannabinoids such as CBD and THC can help. Migraines and headaches. Can't seem to shake those pesky and annoying migraines or headaches? Well, you may find that you experience the most relief with the use of CBD or THC. What about cramps, such as menstrual cramps? If you're suffering with the excruciating pain associated with cramps, you may find the most relief from your symptoms with either CBD and THC. Maybe even a combination of both would be the most effective for you. Sleep apnea. More than 18 million adults in the United States have sleep apnea, according to the National Sleep Foundation. If you or a loved one are diagnosed with sleep apnea, the cannabinoid that may be most effective for combating your symptoms is THC. Well, that about wraps it up for the cannabinoids that are the most effective for sleep and pain disorders. Let's now move on to Section 4. In Section 4, I'm going to be discussing the best cannabinoids for eating/gastrointestinal disorders. So, as I mentioned before, this section is specifically focusing on the cannabinoids that may be the most effective to help treat your symptoms associated with eating/gastrointestinal disorders. Whether you're dealing with appetite loss, anorexia, gastrointestinal disorders, nausea, diabetes, or Crohn's disease, these cannabinoids could be the solution for improving your overall quality of life. Appetite loss. There are many diseases and ailments and medical conditions that could lead to appetite loss. Food is what our bodies and brains use as energy, so not eating could lead to further issues that impact all aspects of your life, whether that be professionally or personally. THC could be the most effective cannabinoid for you to use to help increase your appetite so you start getting that energy that your body needs. Anorexia. There are 30 million Americans affected by anorexia, and it's one of the most common types of eating disorders. If you or a loved one is suffering from this extremely serious eating disorder, then CBD and THC should be your go-to cannabinoids, as THC can help to stimulate your appetite and combat depression, while CBD can be incredibly effective for the treatment of anxiety and depression as well, that are often associated with anorexia. Cachexia, wasting syndrome is what it's also referred to as. This is a general state of ill health that involved marked weight loss, muscle loss, lack of appetite, fatigue, and decreased strength. Wasting syndrome is often a sign of diseases such as cancer, AIDS, heart failure, or advanced chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, also known as COPD. When you're looking to treat symptoms of this, CBD and THC should be your go-to. Gastrointestinal disorders. When discussing gastrointestinal disorders, I am referring to conditions such as constipation, irritable bowel syndrome, hemorrhoids, anal fissures, perineal abscesses, anal fistulas, perineal infections, colitis, and colon polyps. When looking for the most effective cannabinoids to use for the treatment of your gastrointestinal disorder, you should aim your sights on either CBD or THC, maybe even try a combination of both. Nausea. Nausea and vomiting are protective defense mechanisms in our bodies. There can be many causes for nausea, such as migraines, head injuries, seizures, ear disorders, pregnancy, and many, many more. When looking to combat your nausea, look no further than CBD and THC, as these two cannabinoids are extremely effective for reducing nausea. Plus, THC is able to reduce vomiting by binding to the CB1 receptor, while CBD reduces nausea by interacting with your serotonin receptors. Diabetes. According to the National Diabetes Foundation, in 2015, 30.3 million Americans had diabetes. And of those 30.3 million, 23.1 million were diagnosed and 7.2 million were undiagnosed. CBD and THCV have been shown to be the most effective cannabinoids in the treatment of diabetes, as both CBD and THCV provide appetite suppressant properties. This could help regulate your blood sugar levels and reduce insulin resistance, which is a win-win when trying to treat diabetes. Now this leads us to Crohn's disease. This is a chronic inflammatory bowel disease that affects the lining of your digestive tract, which can cause abdominal pain, diarrhea, weight loss, anemia, and fatigue. The 4 cannabinoids that have been shown to be the most effective for treating Crohn's disease are CBD, THC, THCa, and CBDa. THC helps to reduce inflammation and relieves inflammation, nausea, and vomiting, while also stimulating your appetite. CBD can also relieve inflammation, pain, nausea, all while providing calming effects. Plus, CBD is an effective antibacterial. THCa relieves pain, reduces inflammation, and helps to stimulate your appetite, while CBDa can also help alleviate inflammation and fight off infections. Well, that about sums it up for section 4 on the best cannabinoids for eating/gastrointestinal disorders. Let's now move on to section 5, which I will be covering mood/behavior disorders. Mental health disorders impact tens of millions of people in the United States. While estimates from the National Institute of Mental Health suggest that only half of people with mental illnesses receive treatment. Guys, only half of people that have a mental illness receive treatment. That is crazy. If you or a loved one is suffering from one or many of the following mood/behavior disorders, I will outline the cannabinoids for each that you should use that could possibly help treat your symptoms. Guys, the keyword is possibly. Anxiety. Anxiety disorders are the most common form of mental illness in the United States. In fact, they affect a staggering 40 million adults age 18 and older just in the United States. Anxiety disorders are highly treatable, yet only 36.9% of those suffering pursue treatment, according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. So, if you are struggling to combat your anxiety-related disorder, CBD and CBG may provide the greatest chance for providing relief from your symptoms. ADD, or more commonly known as ADHD, Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is the preferred medical term for this neurological condition that was once called ADD. ADHD is a chronic condition including difficulty paying attention, hyperactivity, and impulsiveness. There are 3 types of ADHD. There is primarily inattentive, there is primarily hyperactive impulsive, or there is combined. Millions of children across the United States are diagnosed with ADHD, as the average age of diagnosis is 7 years old. Millions of adults also struggle with ADHD, as this condition does not only impact children like many of you have probably thought. To help combat your symptoms and for the greatest chance of treating your ADHD, the 2 cannabinoids that may be the most effective for you are CBD and THC. Stress. We live in a stressful world from work, school, family, activities, physical and emotional disorders that can lead to stress. It's easy to see why so many Americans are stressed out beyond belief. Stress can seriously affect your body and mind, which will begin to impact your personal and your work life. Don't let chronic stress levels impact your mental health and overall health. More importantly, CBD and THC are the 2 cannabinoids that pose the greatest chance for treatment. Bipolar disorder. This is also called manic depression. This is a disorder that is associated with episodes of mood swings ranging from depressive lows to manic highs. Currently, bipolar disorder cannot be cured. However, symptoms can be managed with medications and therapy. However, if you are looking for a more holistic approach, CBD, CBG, and THC may be the most effective cannabinoids that may help treat your symptoms associated with bipolar disorders. You may even find relief from combining all 3 of those cannabinoids. Let's now talk about OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder, which is a type of anxiety disorder that leads sufferers to experience minute to extreme cases of excessive thoughts and repetitive behavior, such as tapping on the doorknob, pulling on the doorknob. Stop letting your OCD hold you back and give CBD, CBG, or THC a try, as these cannabinoids have been shown to provide the greatest benefits for treating OCD. Let's now talk about PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. This is a serious, potentially debilitating condition in people who have experienced or witnessed a natural disaster, serious accident, terrorist incident, sudden death of a loved one, war, violent personal assaults such as rape or other life-threatening events. 7.7 million Americans age 18 and older have PTSD. So when pursuing treatment for your PTSD, cannabinoids such as CBD, CBG, and THC have been shown to be the most effective for treating symptoms associated with PTSD. Of course, more research is needed. Depression. This is a mental health disorder characterized by persistently depressed mood or loss of interest in activities, causing significant impairment in your overall daily life. The World Health Organization, or WHO, estimates that more than 300 million people worldwide suffer from depression. 300 million people worldwide. There are different types of depression, which include major depressive disorder, persistent depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, seasonal depression, postpartum depression, and psychotic depression. Symptoms of depression include feeling several of the following for at least 2 weeks. These include feeling sad, anxious, or empty, feeling hopeless or pessimistic, feeling guilty, worthless, or helpless, not enjoying things you used to, sleeping too much or too little, and these are just a few of the symptoms. Plus, if you have arthritis, asthma, cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, or obesity, depression can worsen these conditions. So, which cannabinoids have been shown to possibly help treat depression? Well, I'm glad you asked, because CBC, CBD, CBG, CBN, and THC have been shown to be effective for treating symptoms associated with depression in preliminary studies. However, further research is really required to truly see which cannabinoids are the most effective for treating the varying types of depression. Alright guys, so that about wraps it up for section 5, the mood or behavioral disorders and which cannabinoids are the most effective for those. Let's now move on to section 6, which we'll be discussing neurological disorders. Section 6, neurological disorders. In section 6, I will be talking all about the cannabinoids that may be the most effective for treating symptoms associated with the different types of neurological disorders. So, when talking about neurological disorders, I am referring to diseases of the brain, spine, and the nerves that connect them. In fact, there are more than 600 diseases of the nervous system, but we do not have time to cover them all, nor have cannabinoids been studied enough in regards to the benefits they may provide for each of these conditions. However, certain cannabinoids have been shown to be effective for treating the symptoms associated with some of the more studied neurological conditions. For example, Tourette's. Tourette's syndrome is a nervous system disorder that involves repetitive movements or unwanted sounds. These are better known as tics. According to a study on the NCBI called Treatment of Tourette's Syndrome with Cannabinoids, this is pulled directly from the study. Definite conclusions cannot be drawn because longer trials including a larger number of patients are missing. However, by many experts, THC is recommended for the treatment of Tourette's syndrome in adult patients when first line of treatments failed to improve the tics. In treatment-resistant adult patients, therefore, treatment with THC should be taken into consideration when other treatments have failed. So, if your current treatment or medications for Tourette's is ineffective, THC may help to reduce your overall tics. Let's now talk about epilepsy/seizures. A seizure is a single occurrence, whereas epilepsy is a neurological condition characterized by 2 or more unprovoked seizures. CBD, CBN, THCa, and THCV cannabinoids may be the most effective for possibly helping to treat your symptoms associated with epilepsy and seizures. These cannabinoids may also help to reduce the overall number of seizures that you experience. Multiple sclerosis. This is also referred to as MS, which is a disease in which the immune system eats away at the protective covering of nerves. In MS, resulting nerve damage disrupts communication between the brain and the body. MS can cause many different symptoms, which can include pain, fatigue, and impaired coordination, just to name a few. So when looking for cannabinoids that have the greatest chances for providing relief from your symptoms of MS, you should really be looking at CBD, CBN, THC, and THCa, as these have been shown to possibly be the most effective. Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's disease is a progressive disease that destroys memory and other important mental functions. This is often common in older people. Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's disease is a progressive disease that destroys memory and other important mental functions. This is often common in patients that are older. Alzheimer's is the most common cause of dementia, a general term for memory loss and other cognitive abilities serious enough to interfere with daily life. Alzheimer's disease accounts for 60 to 80% of overall dementia cases, according to the Alzheimer's Association, so you know that's very, very accurate. Memory loss and confusion are the main symptoms of Alzheimer's. However, people may experience additional cognitive, behavioral, mood, psychological, and whole body symptoms. Although research is still in its infancy in regards to Alzheimer's disease, the cannabinoids that have been shown to possibly treat these symptoms associated with the disease are CBC, CBD, CBG, THC, and THCa. Parkinson's. Parkinson's disease is a disorder of the central nervous system that affects movements, often including tremors. Initially, Parkinson's begins with a tremor in one hand, but other symptoms include slow movement, stiffness, loss of balance, impaired posture or balance, loss of automatic movement, speech changes, and writing changes. CBC, CBD, CBG, THC, and THCa are the cannabinoids that have been shown to have the greatest chance of possibly treating your symptoms associated with Parkinson's disease. Spasticity. This is a condition where certain muscles are continuously contracted. Spasticity affects more than 12 million people worldwide, according to the American Association of Neurological Surgeons. As a result of constant contraction, this can cause stiffness or tightness of the muscles and can interfere with normal movement, speech, and gait. The cannabinoids that have been shown the greatest chance of treating your symptoms associated with spasticity are CBD, CBG, CBN, THC, and THCa. Osteoporosis. This is a condition that causes your bones to become extremely weak and brittle. Osteoporosis reduces the overall mass of your bones, making them extremely weak. What's even more worrisome about osteoporosis is that there are typically no symptoms of early bone loss. After osteoporosis has begun to weaken your bones, symptoms can include back pain, loss of height over time, a stooped posture, and a bone fracture that occurs much more easily than expected. Now, research surrounding cannabinoids and their effectiveness for treating osteoporosis are still in their infancy, so further research is really required. However, preliminary test results have shown that cannabinoids such as CBC, CBD, CBG, CBN, and THCV may help to treat your symptoms associated with osteoporosis. ALS. This is also referred to as Lou Gehrig's disease. It is a progressive neurodegenerative disease that affects nerve cells in your brain and spinal cord, which weakens muscles and impacts overall physical function. So the main symptom of ALS is muscle weakness. However, a few other symptoms can include problems with coordination, stiff muscles, loss of muscles, difficulty speaking or vocal cord spasms, and even fatigue. Just like the majority of diseases and conditions discussed today, the research about the benefits of cannabinoids and their effectiveness for treating ALS is still extremely new. So guys, information regarding cannabinoids for the treatment of ALS still needs to be researched even further. But current research shows that CBC, CBD, CBG, CBN, THC, and THCa may provide the greatest level of relief from symptoms of ALS. And that about wraps it up for Section 6. Let's move on to Section 7. Let's now move on to Section 7, which will be discussing other medical conditions and which cannabinoids are the most effective for those. Today we've covered a large number of medical conditions. However, I am still not done. There's still some additional ailments and diseases that I wanted to discuss with you today. So in Section 7, I will be talking about other medical conditions and the most effective cannabinoids that you could use to possibly reduce or even eliminate the symptoms you are experiencing. Just remember, I am not a medical professional, and research in regards to cannabinoids and their benefits in regards to medical conditions is still in its infancy and further research is required. However, the information I'm sharing with you today is from preliminary research. Asthma. This is when your airways become inflamed, narrow, and swell and produces extra mucus, which makes it extremely difficult to breathe. Due to their anti-inflammatory benefits, you may find the most relief from your asthma with the use of CBD or THC. Maybe you should even try using a combination of both. Fatigue. Fatigue can lead to an abundance of cognitive problems, inability to gain energy, muscle aches, and even light sensitivity. If your energy levels are low during the day, skip that cup of coffee and reach for CBD, which boosts the presence of the endocannabinoid anandamide, which helps to enhance your mood and can give you a feeling of natural energy, which is incredible. Plus, CBD has been shown effective for chronic fatigue syndrome. Your fatigue could also be stemming from symptoms of an illness that CBD may also be able to help with, such as fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, depression, insomnia, and anxiety. And that's only to name a few, guys. Because fatigue stems from not getting enough sleep. To help with this, THC, CBD, and CBN should be your first choices of cannabinoids to use for treatment. You can also use both THC and CBD to combat the muscle aches associated with your fatigue. Hypertension. This is also known as high blood pressure, which is a condition which the force of the blood against the artery walls is extremely high. High blood pressure often has no symptoms, but if left untreated over time, it can lead to health conditions such as heart disease and stroke, something you do not want to experience. Preliminary studies have shown that cannabinoids such as CBD and THC may be the most effective for treating high blood pressure, but again, that research is still in its infancy. Glaucoma. This is a group of eye conditions that damage the optic nerve, which is vital for good vision. As a result of this damage, you may experience abnormally high pressure in your eye, which is extremely painful. There are many types of glaucoma, but the most common forms of glaucoma are chronic open-angle glaucoma, normal tension glaucoma, acute angle closure glaucoma, and secondary glaucoma. If left untreated, glaucoma can lead to complete and total blindness. The symptoms associated with glaucoma vary depending on the type and stage of your condition, like most diseases and ailments. For example, open-angle glaucoma can cause patchy blind spots in your side or central vision, frequently in both eyes more than likely. While acute angle closure glaucoma can cause severe headaches, eye pain, nausea and vomiting, halos around lights, and eye redness. Stuff that's not fun to deal with. So when looking to treat your glaucoma symptoms with cannabinoids, preliminary research shows that CBG and THC may provide the greatest benefits for you, and I would recommend that you experiment with both. However, more long-term studies are really required to ensure they do not worsen glaucoma, specifically in regards to THC. So that's definitely something you guys want to research if looking to treat your glaucoma with cannabinoids. Muscular dystrophy, also known as MD, is a group of genetic diseases that cause progressive weakness and loss of muscle mass. There are more than 30 different kinds of muscular dystrophy according to healthline.com. There are 9 major forms of muscular dystrophy. In muscular dystrophy, abnormal genes or mutation interfere with the production of proteins needed to form healthy muscles. Since there are more than 30 different kinds of muscular dystrophy, symptoms and severity vary depending on the type you have. Depending on the type of muscular dystrophy you are diagnosed with, symptoms can include trouble walking, loss of reflexes, difficulty standing, walking on your toes, frequent falls, and muscle weakness, in addition to many more. According to research regarding cannabinoids and their ability to combat muscular dystrophy symptoms, CBC, CBD, CBG, and THC may provide the most relief for you. Well guys, we've reached the end of CBD Knowledge episode 4. I hope you learned a lot about the different cannabinoids and that you see that CBD and THC are not the only cannabinoids with potential medicinal benefits. I strongly urge you to rewatch this episode a few times and take extremely detailed notes so you can find which cannabinoid or combination of cannabinoids will be the most effective for your health and personal needs. Thanks again for watching CBD Knowledge episode 4. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks, guys.